You're listening to Blue Collar CEO, the podcast that's all about helping you build a better, more profitable, and more sustainable home service business. Each week, we'll cover a different topic that will help enable your company to move forward to success. And here's your host, Ryan Redding.
What is up, Blue Collar CEOs? It's Ryan. I am really excited to connect with you and this next guest. So a couple weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago at this point, someone that I've known for a long time in the trades, you've probably seen her in different Facebook groups. So she's a member of a group called Lady Titans. Lady Titans is, if you're unfamiliar, it's a nonprofit group within the Service Titan community that highlights women in the trades. And our guest was invited to go speak out at one of their events in the late fall, early winter. I don't recall at the moment now. Everyone I heard from that went to this event was floored, but what Khadija J. Head brought to the conversation. This woman is passionate, leads the oldest Black-owned plumbing company in Georgia, maybe the entire United States. If you know better, we'd love to hear from you. But this woman is passionate about making a difference. She actually has a background in D1 sports and has brought her training from D1 sports over to her family's plumbing company. This woman has so much passion that she brings. I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to get Khadija out. Let's get going. Khadija, I am so glad that we were able to get you on the show. I was mentioning just before I hit record, like I feel like I've heard your name pop up ever lately, especially like in the Lady Titans group. But maybe for those who don't yet know who you are and what you do, can we start there? Like, who are you and what do you do?
Absolutely. So there are two sides to this intricate puzzle that is myself. So there is the side that is Khadija, the individual, and then there is the side that is the CEO of Georgia's oldest and most experienced Black-owned plumbing company. So I'm going to start with the business side. I'm going to give you my elevator pitch. All right. So we're going to walk right through the front door. We're going to get on the elevator and we're going to ride all the way up to the penthouse.
Let's do it.
You ready? You ready?
Let's go. I want the penthouse. Let's go. I want to go there because I've never honestly been in one because I'm too poor. But yeah, let's take you there.
Here we go. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name's Khadija J. Head, and I'm a third generation member of Georgia's oldest Black-owned plumbing company, Head's Plumbing Sales and Service Inc., based out of Southwest Atlanta. We started in 1981 after the company my dad had been working for 15 years closed down shop. And unlike his fellow coworkers, instead of becoming somebody else's employee, my parents decided that the next place that closed down, they'd be the first to know it. So I stand here before you. We're officially 43 years later and 4 generations in to employing individuals with a last name of Head. But let's not stop there, Ryan. I just want to make sure the next generation of change makers understand that this blue-collar profession, because I'm on the blue-collar CEO, understands that this blue-collar profession will arm you with the skill set, the mindset, and the unwavering fortitude to create a different version of yourself. So that's like my elevator pitch. You can see the nice horizon. That is,
oh, it's totally there with you. That is unreal. Okay, so not to leave the penthouse because I like it here. Let's stay here.
Okay, understood.
Let's pivot a little bit to talk about like some of your personal stuff because you have a background that's different to most people in the trades. Do you mind sharing just a little bit about some of that?
Yes. So if you could see over my shoulder, you see some paraphernalia that kind of gives you a glimpse into my background. So myself, my name is Khadija Head. Head, my last name is the business, Head's Plumbing, but I'm very unique to the trade specifically and then to the company Head's Plumbing Service. So my background, my professional lineage, for 15 years, I was a Division I women's basketball college coach.
That's crazy.
Yes. So my entire adult life, all I've done is coach basketball. So I played on the high school level. I was one of the fortunate few that received a Division I scholarship. So I played on a Division I level in college. And from there, basketball was so important to me. But I also understood that I had reached the plateau that I don't possess the skill set to become a professional, but I can still be a professional in the athletic industry. And so I pivoted into coaching. My first college stint was in 2005, where I was an assistant coach at the University of Pittsburgh. From there, I went to Middle Tennessee State University. From there, I went to the University of Pittsburgh, where I was an associate head coach. And my last stop was here locally in the state of Georgia at Kennesaw State, where the last season I was the head coach.
That is so cool. Do you feel like with your experience working in like D1 competitive sports gave you skills that you're able to deploy at the company?
Absolutely. In the company, we are our own segment of a team. So I switched out the basketballs for a pro press, and I switched out a team full of 18 to 22-year-olds to a plethora of males and females that are looking for that same thing. They're looking to provide a better life for themselves. They're looking to provide a better trajectory for their future.
That's so interesting, because I think I didn't play D1 sports. I played through college, but I've got like family members who either played semi-pro, professional, or coached collegiate, like softball side. So like I understand a little bit of the dynamic about the coach and athlete sort of dynamic. There's a lot of the coach bringing out the maximum potential from the student athlete, right? It's about seeing something that sometimes the student themselves doesn't see and helping bring it out into the world. And it's interesting the way you describe what you do for like the 18 to 22-year-olds. It seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of what you might do is seeing potential in people that maybe they don't see the potential within themselves. And you help speak life into that and pull it out. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I think individually, so we take for granted our superpower. So the things that Khadija does really, really well, I take them for granted because they come so easy to me. So from my perception, I think, all right, it's easy for me. It must be easy for others. And you, Ryan, you feel the same way. So when in a team environment, whether it is within the confines of an athletic arena or in the trade specifically with my teammates, my coworkers, I see things that are so unique about themselves that they oftentimes take it for granted. And then like you shift it into, I have the foresight to see how much more potential that you have yet to tap in, because once we get into adulthood, it's like we're on this hamster wheel. When we're in school,
that's sad when you say it that way, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
K
it's
through
sad to feel like,
12.
once you get to an adult, it's like, it's sad to feel like we're in a hamster wheel. But so many people, like, it is totally that grind, right? Just like mindless, repetitive actions. But you were saying about K through 12.
Yes. So K through 12, like you're always surrounded and encouraged by someone, whether that is your parent, your guardian, or your teacher. They're always championing you when you do something well. You did a good job. When we become adults, there is no one else to champion us. So no one is giving us that encouragement that, hey, you've done a good job. And I look specifically at the male gender. And I pay a high level of attention to our technicians, because I understand as a male and as a Black male, rarely are you like encouraged by doing good things or told you do a good job, because so many people depend on you. They're like, I just need you to provide. That's what you're supposed to do, as opposed to, I really appreciate these things that you have done. I really appreciate how you took care of this customer. Hey, I looked at the photos from your job site. They look great. Hey, I listened to the interaction with your customer. You did a great job of really educating that customer. So just that positive reinforcement, because I may be the only person in their lives that does that for them. So I take great pride in doing that.
I love that. And like, as a dude, I can absolutely empathize and relate with the sense of call it social pressure, call it whatever, but this sense of like your duty is to provide, right? Like you have to take care, you have to do all these things, and you're expected to do uncomfortable, unpleasant things, like whatever it takes to provide for the people you care about. And I think what you're tapping into is what something that I wish so many people would understand is that for a guy, if they hear something positive and affirming, like it really means a lot to me when you do X. And if it's a romantic relationship, it really means a lot to me when you open the door for me. Something small that for most people is a throwaway statement. That will light a fire under that guy that will make him every time want to do that action, because that praise is so rare and so valuable, and it hits deep because, to your point, there's not a lot of outlets that give positive affirmations. Maybe I could like cynically say for society in general, but
Absolutely.
specifically for guys, right? Like there's like this deficit of positive feedback. And when they get it, when people like you are like astute enough to provide that, I can totally imagine that there's nothing those guys wouldn't do to recreate and reinforce those positive actions over and over and over after getting that feedback.
Absolutely. And it's the same thing with how is your day? How are you doing? Is
Yeah.
that knee-jerk reaction to fine. And I
Yeah.
always reiterate it to make sure they understand, like, I'm not just asking you this as a placeholder in a conversation. I'm asking you this because I care. I want your feedback because I understand I can be a better leader for you if I have a total understanding as much as you're comfortable with sharing with me with what's truly going on. It works the same way in the office as with the technicians. I can get a great gauge of, hey, what is the mood, the temperature of my office staff? Did they have a rough night at home? Are they dealing with something personal? Did they have a personal win that I can congratulate them on?
Yeah.
Small things like one of our office staff members, she has a son who's 5 years old and he just started basketball. And so I tell her, hey, send me videos of him playing. That way it can help us build that connection. And then we have technicians that are dads, that are young dads, that are older dads that may have their children in high school and college, or they just, they want to talk about sports. They want to talk about something other than, hey, I'm finally out of my home. I'm here in work. It doesn't have to be this hamster wheel. I can be treated like a person while also providing a high value service.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm curious if you feel comfortable. So one of the things that I love how you take so much pride in is being the oldest Black owned plumbing business in Georgia, right? Like the entire state.
Yes.
And you pay a special attention, have a special pride and affinity towards young Black men about finding opportunities to give them purpose. Maybe for those who don't understand what that divide is like what is it like being a minority, like either a Black woman or a Black man, like in the trades that maybe it's not as widespread as other demographic groups? Like what's different or special about that for you?
Understood. So according to the labor statistics, only 8% of plumbers are Black. So we
right?
look at the totality. Absolutely. I Googled it. I heard it before and I had to Google it because I'm like, surely that's not true. And I Googled
That's
it. And,
crazy.
I'm not saying Google is the end all be all, but if you do it, those numbers will spit out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so,
yeah.
Go ahead, Ryan.
No. I'm just fascinated. So 8% are Black or minority owned businesses or plumbers in the trade. You're saying 8% are just plumbers. Got it.
Just plumbers. So not even drilling down to actually being the owner of a business. So look at, 8% is just the labor portion. And then you drill down to exactly who Heads Plumbing is. So Heads Plumbing, not only we are Black owned plumbing company, we employ Black plumbers, and the majority of our plumbers, whether they've been with us or they come into our plumbing family, it's the first time in their plumbing career and profession that, one, they get to work alongside other Black plumbers, and two, work for Black owners of a plumbing company. So I feel it is our responsibility to help bridge that gap, because if you look at the trade industry as a whole, we are just falling forward to this immense labor shortage where, for every 4 plumbers that goes out, only 1 is coming in. And so we're bringing in, we're losing a lot of like knowledge and skill set, and just, the plumbers that have seen those reps of all of these jobs. And we're bringing in this new influx of plumbers. But the interesting thing about this new influx of plumbers is they're coming in with a different perspective of the trade. So when my brother and I were growing up, the perception of the trade as a whole, it was this blue collar grunt work that nothing's pretty or sexy about it. But now when you look at the trade industry as a whole, the technology that we have inside of the trade, to the granular pieces that, you use iPhones, you use iPads, technology that this new generation, that's all they know. So it's a way to relate to them that, hey, plumbing is just not, playing in toilets and poo and all that stuff. It is using robotics. It is using technology. It is using drones. It is using so many different things that you wouldn't traditionally associate with the trade. And then also we understand that, and I would say we're not an outlier, that most people that enter the trade is because they know someone else in the trade. And minorities specific, you don't believe something is true until you see someone else that looks like you walking in that same light. So that is our responsibility, to really bring to the forefront that, hey, the trades is for everyone. And it's not a situation where like college is your only option. You can go to college and join the trade like my brother and myself, or you can just take the trade route specifically. That's what a lot of our technicians do, where they don't want that burden of student loan debt. They just really want a way to provide for their family with a tangible skill set that once you have it, no one can take that from you.
Yeah. I love that. And so much of what you're saying, I hope this is okay to say, like, it reminds me of the movie that came out several years ago called Hidden Figures,
Absolutely.
which is about, like, they call them calculators, right? People who are computers working for NASA, calculating these trajectories back when things were segregated. And what's interesting about that movie is, like, one, it's a story of Black women who, if anyone hasn't seen it, highly recommend it. And these women are not only incredibly intelligent, but they have grit for days. Like, nobody could hold them back. And they penetrated what would otherwise be a very, very white collar, sort of resistant to change sort of industry. In this case, being like aeronautical engineering. For you, do you feel like that those two forces are also equally resistant? In other words, like, do you feel like there is, because the industry at large maybe not represent a lot of minorities in the trades, do you feel like it's more difficult to attract and retain people who are minorities wanting to pursue those professions? Or two, do you feel like the industry as a whole is resistant to that sort of diversity also? Like, do you see pressure on either side?
I see pressure on both sides, but it's not specifically to the trade. It's society
Okay.
in
Yeah.
general that, one, I can't sit here and say, hey, we have this problem with a limited number of minorities in the trade if I'm not at the forefront of being just a figurehead and saying, hey, we exist, because there are a ton of us out there. We just don't realize it because, again, we're these hidden figures that in the trade, you just go in and you just do your job. And that's why I'm a huge advocate for us on social media to make sure, like, I understand that will extend our reach. So any opportunity I get a chance to be on podcasts, to be in speaking engagements, I truly believe that the greatest gift that you can give the world is to find yours and share it. And I truly believe that speaking and being an advocate is a huge value add that I can bring to the trade and then I can bring to our company specifically, because not only are we Georgia's oldest Black-owned plumbing company, I would beg to differ, and this is my quest for 2024. I believe we're the oldest Black-owned plumbing company in America.
Mm,
And what I mean by that, my grandfather, when he was a plumber, it was during the point in American history where African Americans were not allowed to sit for the plumbing test to become a licensed plumber.
that's
So
crazy to
he
think about.
was right. He was a neighborhood plumber, and then we got to this point in history where uh, it was said that, hey, you can be grandfathered in if you've been doing plumbing for X amount of years. All you have to do is come in and fill out the application. My grandfather did that. Went in, filled out the application, did everything that was required, and walking out the door, he saw his application balled up and thrown in the trash.
No.
Yeah, and it's that drive that has forced my father. He is a master plumber. My brother Odari, he is a master plumber, and I have two nephews, Cameron and Jay. They're 17 and 16. They're our interns during the summer, and even in the subset family of our Heads Plumbing family, we have a father and son duo where the
Mm,
father has been a technician with us for over 10 years and is a journeyman plumber, and his son just eclipsed a year with the company. So it is really reiterating, hey, the trade is something that is easy, low barrier to entry. You just have to find the right position, the right niche, and understand that becoming like skilled in a trade is like a slow cooker. Like if you come in with a
mm,
perception of this microwave, I want to be a commission technician and making six figures within 3 years, like that's probably not going to happen. That's a road for disaster. Versus I'm coming into this industry with a long extended version of 10 years from now, this is where I want to be, because I understand if I learn all these specific skill sets, the money will come. I have to
yeah.
learn the trade, learn the industry.
Yeah. And what's funny is like, not even funny. It reminds me of, I had a friend of mine who several years ago was doing economic development work in upstate South Carolina.
Okay.
And a lot of his focus there was bringing the trades, and I'm using trades in this point like in a very large umbrella sense. So not just blue collar trades, leathersmiths, blacksmiths, luthiers who made like wooden guitar instruments, like these people who traditionally would work with your hands, who just a few hundred years ago, right, in human history, you would have this like almost discipleship sort of approach to learning a craft or a trade, right? You learn how to work with leather, you learn how to work with animals, you learn how to work with steel, and over time you would pass your knowledge and experience down to people who were much younger, like usually below 20,
Mm-hmm.
learning your craft and your trade, and then they would replace you in the economy. And in upstate South Carolina, they were trying to do a similar sort of effort. It is a beautiful picture to imagine, just like your grandfather and your father. Now there's another father and son doing the same thing. They're shadowing, they're learning, they're doing this discipleship sort of approach to learning the craft and the trade that
Mm-hmm.
is a really beautiful part of the human experience that I think has been left out in like
Absolutely.
recent American history,
Yeah, with the influx of technology, everything is becoming a outsourced skill set.
Yeah.
And I really think the onset of COVID, it really shed light on, again, the trade specifically. So electrical, HVAC, plumbing. We went through a portion of American history where we were all confined to our most sacred place, our home. And so it was something that we rarely engaged with. So you think about the average homeowner, they wake up, they use either the sink, shower, bathtub, run the faucet, and then they're off to work, and they spend like 80% of their day away from home. And then they come back home that other 10% and they go to bed. So you never really understand the functionality of your home until something really
Mm.
goes wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when we were with COVID, you got people, like adults at home, you got kids at home, you got things that aren't supposed to be flushed being flushed. You got toilets that were flushed maybe like 5 times a day. increased to, flushed up to 15 times a day. So the age of your plumbing, it drastically decreased in its health and lifespan. And then it was also a moment in time where individuals, like the way that you provide for your family was very controlled, where you had absolutely no control, where us in the trade, like we thrived because we had a skill set that not America, the world needed. Like I can't imagine someone having to go to an outhouse. Like they are going to call, they're going to call a plumber, and to see our industry really thrive during a tough time in history, I think that has really also brought on, hey, the trade is something that is very sexy. I like to use the word sexy because it makes it like, ooh, a luxurious. But it is something that, is not your grandfather's profession. It's something that is super attainable. It's something that you can really make your own.
I am like completely like I heard about you like through the Lady Titans group, and then like did some poke around and some research, and I was like, this is going to be a fantastic conversation. And the more and more we talk, I am drawn into your passion and like your mission on this planet. If somebody's listening right now and they want to help you, like they want to feel like you are totally like pulling in the right direction, you are getting this like momentum and this traction, and you're doing good work, what help do you need? If somebody wants to support you so that you can complete your mission, what do you need?
First thing that I would love for you to do is share this episode that we're creating today. I think the more people that could, one, learn about me, Khadija, the person, but also like Ryan, all the value that you're providing with like your past guests. You provide so much insight with so many different individuals in different niches, and then that the individuals that follow after me. So the first thing they can do is really share your podcast and open up a new wave of audience members to the content that you've already provided. And selfishly, for myself and Heads Plumbing, the first thing you can do is follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is @heads, so HEADS_plumbing. Be sure to follow us, engage us, share our content. It doesn't cost anything. One thing that I do, if you follow me, I promise you we will follow back. Also, if you know of any speaking opportunities, or if you see somewhere where I can provide value to, 7 degrees of separation, my goal is to share as much as possible, get in front of as many people as possible, so I can share the message of talking about the importance of the trade, and specifically the importance of minorities in the trade. It is up to us that if we want to see change happen, like we can't say this change needs to happen without being that advocate and really pushing and saying, not only should it happen, but this is how it should happen. And also, self-proclaimed, I have self-anointed myself as the most prolific storyteller in the trade.
I love this. And if you're listening right now, one, thank you. But two, please, there's no excuse for you not to follow Heads Plumbing on Instagram right this second. We'll make sure all that stuff is in the show notes. And we have a lot of guests who have like speaking opportunities or have connections to. So we'll make sure that we'll find ways to support you. Okay, let me ask another question. If somebody's listening right now, I don't know if you know this or if our audience knows this, there's this idea called the rule of homogeneity, I think it's called. It's a homogeneous effect where people tend to attract people who look like themselves. And so if the stat that you Googled is true, that means 92% of people in the trades are not minority represented, right? So you're going to be talking about a lot of white Caucasian people. And yay. So if people see the need to create opportunities for minorities in their business, to actually tutor or mentor people, do you have any recommendations for the 92% to help create opportunities for minorities that don't naturally draw them because they don't look like them?
Absolutely. Seek individuals out. One thing that we're doing, and I would encourage everyone to do it is we have to get into the high schools. That is our next pool of individuals, because the concept of college is slowly becoming something that is not attractive. But we have to make sure that we do our part to say, hey, this is another option. And then also there are great individuals and great programs within your specific community that you can be a part of. And it's not, you being the big brother, big sister program, but it's more about like actively seeking out, hey, where do these individuals live? Where are they? Where are their communities? You have them as your customers. So, be engaging, be proactive, and again, any help that I can provide, how I can be an advocate, my door is always open. I'm always going to make time to be a resource, because I truly believe that it's a missing link that we can help fill, again, this cavernous void that we're creating with our lack of labor.
I love that. And to maybe plug one of our previous guests, there's a group called Explore the Trades. My friend Kate is I believe she's like the chief executive of it, because it's a nonprofit. She does a lot of work trying to get in front of kind of bridging between schools and trade schools, right? So helping create the exposure and visibility for kids who they don't, the traditional model be like, go to school, rack up student loan debt, fail out in a couple years, and then spend the rest of your life trying to pay it back. She's trying to provide another legitimate access point so that people can know the trades exist, connect them with trade schools in their area. So, Kate, if you're listening, I'll also make sure that Explore the Trades is mentioned here. But I love the way that you're supporting. If somebody wants to reach out to you to learn more about what you're doing, connect with you, and what is the best way for somebody to hit you up?
Absolutely. So again, I'm very responsive on Instagram. We're also on Facebook, and I reactivated our TikTok because I felt like I was missing out on it, Nick. So our handle is the same across all platforms at heads_plumbing.com. Our main office number is 404-696-3175. And then my email is my first name last name at headsplumbing.com. Again, I cannot thank you enough for having me today. Like, you took a blind recommendation on a stranger. And so I always make sure that when someone recommends me, like, I have to over deliver and live up to the expectation, because they took a chance on me. So I want to make sure I maintain their reputation.
Well, okay. One, that's incredibly thoughtful of you, but totally not needed, because you stand on your own merit. And there's a reason people recommend you and refer you. And it's because you're doing, kick-ass work in all sorts of different ways. Please keep doing kick-ass work, inspire people, make the world around you better. I am really, really glad we were able to connect this way. I followed you right now on Instagram, so everyone else listening should too. But seriously, Khadija, thank you so much for taking time out of your really busy, really important schedule. Keep doing excellent work. I'm going to be rooting for you all the way.
Thank you so much, sir, and thank you for having me.
This episode was hosted by Ryan Redding, author of the book on digital marketing for plumbing and HVAC contractors, and founder of Levergy, the digital marketing solution for serious home service companies. You can subscribe to Blue Collar CEO on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Visit us online at BlueCollar.CEO and find us on Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week with another awesome episode. See you soon.